Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yay,
5 on the floor, ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing, you can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs.
down to Biscayne.
Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, Inspire have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
All right, welcome into 5 on the Floor. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick on 5 Reasons Sports. I got Brady Hawk. You can follow me at Brady Hawk 305. We're actually potting before this thing is over. The Miami Heat are beating the Shell-icans today. The New Orleans Pelicans trying to lose and didn't play anybody. Like literally, like their top 11 did not play. The Heat decided to play their regulars. I had some issues with that, but it doesn't look like it's hurt them. And right now, as we speak, with 11 minutes left of the fourth, they're up 116-76. I think Hero's done. He scored 22 in 22 minutes. Bam, 23, 12, and 4 in 22 minutes. Duncan, they needed this game from him the other night. 18 points on 5 of 8 from 3. Davion Mitchell currently has 11 points, 3 assists. Highsmith, 10 off the bench. Burks, 12 as a starter. He's made all 4 of his threes. Khalil Ware, 10 and 11. I mean, essentially tune-up. And now Sunday, I would hope that the Heat would just play their G League guys Sunday and not risk further injury. Because basically the news of the night is not the win. The news of the night is that it's sealed now. The Miami Heat will be the 10 seed coming up in the play-in. That's because the Bulls, the Magic, and the Hawks all won. Actually, it didn't really matter with the Magic, but it did matter with the Hawks. The Bulls and the Hawks win. Magic win. And so the Heat, after everything, after one of the more tumultuous seasons in franchise history, are in the play-in, but they're in the worst slot they've been in the play-in in the last 3 years, Brady. And so essentially, and now at 37 and 44, we'll see what happens against Washington. But the challenge is this. They are going to go to Chicago next Wednesday. And if they win that game, and again, they've lost to the Bulls all 3 times this year. They haven't been able to contain them all 3 times this year. If they win that game, then they would play the winner of the Magic Hawks loser. I believe that game is Tuesday. The winner of the loser of the Magic Hawks game, the Heat would then, if they won on Wednesday, they would then go on Friday to either Orlando or Atlanta. Then if they won that game, they would go to Cleveland for Sunday, for a series that would start on Sunday. So that's really where it's at. We've seen this coming for a while. The loss against the Bulls kind of sealed it. Do we need to talk about tonight? Is there anything, Brady, that you took from tonight other than like a tune-up against like the bus boys from Cafe Du Monde?
No, there was nothing to take from tonight. I mean, Bam had his career high in threes. I mean, it just kind of showed. I mean, I kept saying this was a broadcasted scrimmage. Like, it just felt like they were going to go out there, play loose, play against much lesser competition. And they are up 40 right now, as you said. So they're just kind of taking care of business as you'd expect. Not a whole lot of resistance defensively. They were able to kind of put up points. Pelicans actually made like an early run back to them.
Jamal Cain.
Yeah, Jamal Cain just put up 15. I think they were saying that was almost his season high. So, yeah, there's not much to take from this game. That's why I didn't really understand the thought process of playing these guys. Because for a second there, I thought it was really going to go south when Bam landed on somebody's foot on a rebound. And I'm like, okay, now we're going to start having this conversation of why were the main guys playing? If he, sprains his ankle right there, he looked like he ended up being fine. But it's, yeah, I mean, would you expect they shut everybody down for Sunday? Or do you think they do another tune-up game and let them get the reps setting into the play?
I mean, I think any other franchise would shut them down on Sunday. I can't see the point. I mean, the other thing is they're in the 10 spot now, but there still is lottery seeding because you're dealing with the Western Conference teams too. So I don't even understand the purpose of winning that game. I mean, Washington's locked into one of those top 4 spots, so I don't even know what their motivation is going to be one way or the other. But I don't get why you would risk it. I mean, this is a franchise that literally had Jimmy get hurt in the play-in game last year, and now you're risking, if you do care about actually making the playoffs, you're risking injury potentially even before the play-in. I don't get it. I don't think they should have played tonight. I guess they can feel good about themselves that they connected a little bit, but I mean, I don't know. It's against third-rate competition. I don't really know that makes much difference. I guess some guys hit some threes, so they feel a little bit of rhythm. But I mean, shut it down. I mean, seriously, just play Isaiah Stevens, play Josh Christopher, play Kashad Johnson, give him a chance in the last game. I think some of them should have been playing earlier anyway. But I don't know. I can't see any reason why you would play anybody on Sunday. I mean, we can have discussions about whether or not you should be trying to get out of the play-in. I understand the fans' perspective on that, even though I don't necessarily agree. I do think they should be trying to win, but if you're trying to win, then it makes no sense to play your players on Sunday. That's really where I'm at. I mean, to give your fans one last look at Tyler and Bam, they've seen Tyler and Bam enough. That's the hope is that you win a couple of games in the play-in on the road, and then you bring it back for Game 3 against Cleveland, maybe with a 1-1 series, and then all of a sudden you got a new season. That's the best case scenario. Nothing else. But let's do some general conversation here, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Bulls before we close. It's not going to be a long episode. I do want to talk about the player of the game, but actually I'm going to make this a little broader here for you, because essentially their seasons are over. I would hope so. Insurance by Lynette. She sponsored the player of the game every night this year, and she was on the podcast when we went live. She was on playback. She was on Discord. Huge Miami Heat fan, but the biggest thing is she can help you get car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, all of it from her office in Lauderhill, but she services the entire Tri-County area. Terrific person also. Reach out to her at 954-581-8800 or insurancebylynette.com. All right, I'll put you on the spot. We're not going to devote a lot of time to this because we'll do it after the season. Your player of the season for the Miami Heat is?
Oh, wow. Tyler Hero. I mean, he was the all-star. He was the guy. I mean, what did the number end up being? Let's say he plays Sunday and they do play, how many games did he play this year?
He's played 76, I believe, to this point. He's led the team in minutes, which to me is really significant. He played this year. That was a big thing, was availability, and he was not fragile this season. He played, and he responded well towards the end of the year, and he had by far his best year, as you said.
So yeah, he misses 4 or 5 games this entire season, in a season when he's had more of a workload than any prior season, has had more on his plate, still became the all-star, still improved his averages in every main category. If you go down the line, he's just been a much more complete player, a much more understanding player of what his role is in adjusting to the new role when Jimmy leaves, all of that in itself. I would say Tyler's the player of the year. He kind of deserves it for the all-star nod. Bam had a pickup post all-star break in kind of the second half of the season, but he had a rough start to the season. There was just some moments there early when he just struggled to find his offense for a large portion. So it's been good that he's been able to turn around and get back to his usual average. But yeah, I'd say it's Tyler.
Yeah, I think it's Tyler, clearly. Look, if Bam doesn't get off to that 2-month slow start, I'm not saying things would have gone differently with Jimmy, because that was mostly contract related, but it certainly didn't help that Bam didn't really come off of the Olympics playing the way that we expected. And then he did turn it around towards the end of the season, really shot the 3-ball well late in the year, which is interesting because I've been sort of arguing against that, but now he has seemed to add it to his arsenal in a positive way of late. Anyway, all right, let's get to the next one. And I said we're going to work through these tonight. Our friends are at Mobile C Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson was on with me the other day on Sponsors Corner. You can reach out to him at 561-891-9620. That's 561-891-9620. They bring the X-ray equipment and staffing to you. Also, huge Miami Heat fans. They've been to many of our watch parties. Again, if you work in a medical office, these are the people you want to reach out to, and you can fill out the form there, and they'll go through everything with you. So it's Mobile C Arm and Staffing Services, c-armandstaffing.com. All right, the X-ray of the play of the season. Now, I that's a lot to throw at you right now. But just top of your head, the one moment that struck you, it doesn't have to be a play. I think I know what it is if you really think about it. Because I know the text I got that night. I was in Austin, Texas, and you and Alex are texting me like the world is effing ending, right? I wish I could find those texts.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, that was That was the one moment where, I mean, Jimmy walked to the press conference and set everything on fire. So, I mean, yeah, that was definitely probably the play of the season just because it turned everything around in an instant. This is, by the way, there's a lot of people that say this season has gone by fast, which it has. But, like, when I think back to, like, that thinking back to the last time they played the Pelicans, which was that Pelicans-Pacers game where Jimmy was just kind of tanking it, that feels like years ago. So, like, on the flip side of it, like, it feels weird to say this season went by, like, quick when I think about how long ago that felt. But yeah, 100%. This has just been most insane. The X-ray of the season is just the fact of the ebbs and flows of the expectations in training camp. The fact that there was this mindset that you were going to get regular season locked in Jimmy, contract year Jimmy, and he was going to, prove himself to the world that, he could lead this team in the regular season to a much higher seed. So there was just these regular season expectations put on this team. The expectations of Terry coming in, just so much, and all of that plummeted. Like, all of that went in just such an opposite direction. We saw, obviously, the way that played out with Terry, the way it played out with Jimmy, obviously going out, leaning in the young direction, going on a 10-game losing streak, following that up with a 7-game winning streak, and then now we're here talking about this team as a 10 seed having to win 2 winner-go-home games to get to the 8 seed to play the 1 seed, and that is ultimately probably going to have, even if they win those 2 games, losing in 5 games. So it's just been an unpredictable yet predictable season, because everything that I just mentioned, if you could have told you it was going to happen beforehand, you probably could have predicted it would play out this way.
Yeah, I remember the text. I think they were, "It's over. It's over." I was at dinner with my daughter in Austin, Texas, and it's over. And I'm like, what the F? I mean, seriously, like, I finally have some time alone with my daughter on a trip, and the world is ending back there. And you're right, it was over. There was nothing else beyond that after Jimmy stood in the corner, other than us doing a whole lot of podcasts and speculating where he'd go. And now, obviously, in Golden State, we'll see how that one plays out. But that's the tone of the season. I mean, we could do a whole episode on plays of the day of Terry Rozier shots. Honestly, like, we should just go back on playback once, but I don't really want to do that to you. Anyway, that's where we're at. All right, one more tonight. Real estate shop. Javier was on the podcast. Javier Iglesias, Amanda, married couple that also does a great job buying or selling your house. They're based in in Broward County. They'll service Boca Raton as well, but they're based in Broward County. Find them at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram, or Real Estate Shop. That's 2 P's and an E. RealEstateShopFL.com. Again, they'll get you the best deal. They're honest. They're trustworthy. All the things that you want. They've got great reviews. Again, Real Estate Shop. That's RealEstateShopFL.com, or the Fort Lauderdale Realtor. And all year they sponsored Defending the House. So I'll ask you this. Who was the Heat's best defender this season? Is it still Bam?
100%. It's still Bam, but that's such a boring answer, because it's just he gets the flowers defensively. I mean, it's pointed out consistently, but I want to give it to Davion Mitchell, just because of the fact of the excitement and the different type of defense that this team has been needing in just what they saw. They haven't had a point of attack defender of his caliber that is able to play consistent. Like, they've had guys that, like DeLon Wright, that came in, was a good point of attack defender, but he wasn't good enough to stay on the court for long stretches of the game. Having a guy that's able to play as many minutes as he has been, and he's just been such a bulldog on that end, and just adapting to the zone, adapting to guarding up, doing so many good things, being an energizer on that end. The best defender on this team by far is Bam Adebayo, but I just think in terms of the excitement, the something new with this roster, I think if you ask the fan base, like, the 3 positive things of this season, the excitements of this season, Davion's energy and play is probably on the top 3 of that list.
Yeah, and I think the good news is he's not being waived before the end of the season. I know some speculation about that, and they're going to try to re-sign him, and they should, because he's one of the positives of the year. They got him for Jimmy. You want to have something to show for everything that happened this season. To have Davion Mitchell is clearly a plus for them, fits their culture perfectly, defended great. But yes, Bam's still the best defender on the team. I can't make a case for Bam Defensive Player of the Year. I know not with how the Heat's defense was overall. They barely top 10. A lot of struggles this year. I can't make the case for it this year, but I can make the case for one of the 2 all-defensive teams. I know Zach Lowe, I respect greatly, said there's no room for him this year. I would look to find room for him, but I as far as Defensive Player of the Year, I can't go with it. All right, Brady, before we close here, and again, we were just doing a quick episode, and then we'll start to look ahead to that Bulls game on Wednesday night. Just give me your confidence meter Going into Chicago next Wednesday, as they currently stand, the percentage. What is the percentage that they come back with a win?
50%. I think they could come out and easily win that game, but I could also see them losing by 25. I mean, that's been this season. That's the way this team is. So I legit would give it a 50% chance, honestly. Maybe I'll say 45 if I want to be really realistic, just because you probably have to. I mean, the home court advantage is a big thing, and the fact that they just own them this season helps too. But look, I know we're going to do a preview of that game moving forward, and I think if there was a positive to you playing, if you're these last two games of the importance, like I said, this is just like a practice for them, but they don't practice often. So like take advantage of the time where you could share the court, figure out where Wiggins is supposed to be, where Tyler's supposed to be, like where everybody's supposed to occupy certain things. And these are two types of teams. Like when you're playing a young Pelicans team where it's just a bunch of guys that are out there, and the Wizards on Sunday, one thing they have in common with Chicago is they're going to run up and down the floor. They're going to play fast. They're going to play wild. They don't have anything like specific they're going to get to and like try to attack you in certain areas. They're just running. And that's the one thing that kind of scares you in a match with like when Miami has been able, think about like Miami's best defensive game plans over the last few seasons when Spo's able to coach up. It's always against like a big, like Embiid, or it's somebody like they built the wall against Giannis. Like it's something where they can found a foundation defensively around something, and they could base it around that and play off that and say, well, we're going to pick our spots. When it's just a bunch of randomness and it's just a bunch of guys out there where you can't really pick one specific thing, even though they probably should focus on stopping Giddey and getting the ball out of his hands. It's a lot harder to contain. So with that said, Miami has to try to find some way in the world to control some type of pace. Try to slow that game down, make it a half-court game. Try to get to the free throw line as much as possible. I think trying to draw contact, not only just getting some of their guys in foul trouble, but just like slowing the game down, playing through Wiggins in the mid post. They did a lot tonight early in the game. That's why I said like using these reps to get ready for those opportunities, like getting him the ball, letting him back things down, get into that mid post, let him draw fouls. All that's going to be needed because this team is, as we've seen every time, like they just play fast, they play wild, they force turnovers, and Miami can't afford to go down in a game like that. Like they can't afford to be doing what they did the other night where we're talking about a Tyler Hero pull of 3 after they were trailing by double digits. Like they need to find a way to sustain that game and sustain pace.
Well, remember, if they'd lost the Bulls in the play-in, that run a couple of years ago doesn't happen. So this is an opportunity for revenge, although most of the Bulls who were there then are not there now.
The truth is walking through that door.
He is not walking through that door. He could walk through the door if the Heat win these 2 road games, and then they could walk through the door in Cleveland. But otherwise, no, I would give him about a 35% chance. That's as high as I'll go. I was more confident before I saw them in Chicago on Wednesday, and after I saw them in Chicago on Wednesday, I just don't think they can run with that team, which is just weird. And you're right about the randomness. We'll see. I mean, they've done things to surprise before, but I just don't think they have the juice this time around. And I think they're tired. I think they're tired. Like it was good to see some smiles tonight, but this has been a long, draining season. Imagine what it's been like for them if it's been like this for us. Anyway, check out our sponsors, c-harmonstaffing.com, Aggressive Insurance, which is insurancebylet.com, and of course, real estate shop, fl.com. More episodes getting you ready for the play-in. The Heat are play-in bound again, the 10 seed this time.